Well, hello. I know, it's been 3 months, it's been forever, but we've got another Division 2 build video for you guys since we're getting back into the swing of things. I just transferred over to PC, had to get my character back up, but I think this one's going to be a fun one. So, we've all seen it, the Eclipse Protocol build. I like to call this one the Fire and Blood. We're going to be using Firestarter Chem Launcher with the Stinger Hive. Now, in regards to the Stinger Hive, yes, it does a lot of damage. Each Stinger will hit for 593k, and then they'll leave a bleed on the target for 50k. However, there are times when you throw the Stinger and it does not agree with you. So if you don't feel like using the Stinger, you can always switch over to the Seeker Mine, which is the very first one, Explosive Seeker Mine. This gives you a 51k, so it's a k more, it's okay, but it's more consistent. You aim it, you lob it, it blows up, it applies the bleed to the target, and it also triggers your Chem Launcher because it's an explosion. But let's get into the build. So, 4-piece Eclipse Protocol. 2-piece gives us 15 status effects, which makes our burn and bleed damage last longer. 3-piece will give you 15% skill haste and 30% hazard protection. And then the 4-piece, that's why we're here, indirect transmission. Your status effects now spread on kill to all enemies within 15 meters and refresh 50% of the duration. Now, the chest piece intrinsic perk is increases indirect transmission range from 15 meters to 20 meters. That is a gigantic range for you to spread your debuffs to the enemy. Like, that's burns, shocks, anything that you apply is going to be spread from one target to another as long as they're within 20 meters, and refreshes the percentage from 50% to 75%. So every time someone dies, it's constantly going to be spreading it out, constantly going to be giving back a refresh of 50 to 75%. Now, for our backpack, it could be better. We're using strategic alignment. I don't even remember why I'm using it with the explosive damage. I think it's because I was running the Seeker Mine at first, and it works out super well. But we're running it because of Perfect Shock and Awe. Applying a status effect to an enemy increases total skill damage and repair damage by 20%. Now understand, skill damage is not a bleed or a burn. Like, bleed and burns are status effects. Your skill damage is the raw damage that happens when you use an ability. So when you fire out your Chem Launcher and it's on the ground and you shoot it, the initial explosion is the damage, and then the burn damage is something completely else. So this amplifies the initial explosion. Same thing with the Seeker Hive. When the Hive hits a target, it's hitting for 593k, plus that extra damage that you're getting from strategic alignment, which is the 20%, because these abilities are applying status effects. Now, the other major thing that we need is Vial. It is this season's exotic reward. I think you get it at tier 90, I want to say. But its main perk is Toxic Delivery. Status effects also apply a damage over time debuff for 10 seconds. Total damage dealt is equal to 50% of your concussion grenade damage and increased by your status effect attributes. That's two things and a lot to understand. So, concussion grenade damage is the base grenade, which does 1.6 million. You're doing half of that as a bleed damage. So you're doing about 800k. Not 800k per tick. It's at 800k in total over time bleed on the enemy. Then the second thing, which is amplifying Vial with its status effect, which is your status effect attribute, which is on your gear, especially on the Vial mask. We have 9.5% status effect. What does that mean? That means that it increases the duration of your bleed and your ticks, basically your dots, your damage over times, on your targets, so that they last longer, so that you can put out more damage. So while you look at something like this, which its burn damage is 421. Ugh, numbers, stupid. 213,421 damage over a 12-second duration. Vial will increase that duration along with status effect, which also increases that duration so that your targets burn longer. Without that, let's go to a gear set that doesn't have status effects. Let's jump to this. Now, it was 12 seconds before. If we were to look at this now, it's no longer 12 seconds. Its duration is 8.8 seconds. So all of the status effect that I have on my fire and blood gear amplifies that from where it is at 8 seconds to 12 seconds, which is great. And with Vial, it lasts even longer and adds an even more additional dot. Now for your weapons are more or less going to be open to your own interpretation. You're free to use what you want, but I'm using Mechanical Animal. It's an assault rifle. Its perk is Future Perfection. Weapon kills grant +1 skill tier for 19 seconds. And if you're at skill tier 6, you get Overcharge, essentially. Overcharge in regards to the Chem launcher gives you a bigger range. Yeah, look at that. 135% max radius with a 100% burn duration is fantastic. And it's almost the exact same thing for the Stinger Hive. It gives you more damage, way more range, way more health, way more skill haste, so that your hive regenerates faster. And then we're also using Pestilence. Now, the Pestilence talent, which is Plague of the Outcast, applies a debuff. A debuff is not the same as a status effect. So while, yes, you're applying something to the enemy, it is not going to be triggered by Vial. It's just an extra added dot that does extra damage to a target. Typically, I only switch to Pestilence when I have to kill a named enemy. That way I can hit them enough times to put an extra debuff on them, while they're also getting dots and status effects from both the fire and the hive, which is the blood damage. I don't think I'm missing anything else in here. Now, next major thing we're going to get into is what perk to use. Now, you can get funky and run Technician. You'd want to run Overclock CPU for the 10% extra damage. And that would be great, because you can also run like Dismantling, which allows you to do extra damage to drones, skill proxies like health stations that Black Tusk guys throw on the floor, and the stupid ass dogs. But I prefer to run Firewall, and that was really loud for no reason. And the reason why has to do with this. Enrich Magnesium Formula, which gives you 20% extra burn duration. So essentially, things are just going to be on fire more often. I feel like there should be another perk, but I'm not remembering the perk. Nope, not remembering the perk at... Oh, no, I know what it is. Okay. Right, so for Firewall, you're definitely running that to get the extra added 30%, or was it 20%, to your burn duration. But there is something else, and for shame, they don't show it in the, they don't show it in here, in like your tooltip, so you can see what it does. But Jetstream Flamethrower, is a flamethrower, duh, and it fires out a stream of fire, double duh. But what it also does, it applies a dot to the enemy, and that dot does way more damage than you would do with either this, which is the Firestarter Chem Launcher. The Firestarter Chem Launcher's burn is 213k per tick. No, like, if you have a chance to set something on fire with your flamethrower, set it on fire with your flamethrower, because that dot from your flamethrower is going to transfer through your vial mask to everything, and it's just going to melt. It does a ridiculous amount of damage. The problem with that is you're super squishy with this build. There's not really a lot of defense here, so you can die extremely easily. So for this, I think everything is, yeah, whatever. We can up the difficulty a little bit, up to around medium. So what you want to do is get some flames out there. Toss that in. Hit the target. Let's see how it refreshes. If that one dies, I'll jump to this one. Oh, nope, never mind. Now we'll jump to this one. Wait, what did it jump to? Oh, I jumped to that one. Oh, what did it jump to? Rip. Rip. Okay, it should be over now, right? Everything's on fire again. So it jumps from there, and you see how the bar jumps back to full. If that thing's not gonna die. That thing's not gonna die. Everything survived. Now, pros and cons. Oh, you're still going. Oh, now you're still going. Oh, okay. So, pros and cons of this build. Major pro. Crowd control. Every single time your fire jumps, it causes the disorient where the enemies will try and pat themselves and put themselves out to go onto the enemy. Bleed. A lot of side damage goes out, so you're definitely going to be able to blow through a ton of the red bar enemies, purple bar enemies, gold bar enemies. Downside, the burn and bleed do not work against robot dogs because they're dogs. So any type of machinery or anything along those lines that's on the field will not jump to those targets. It'll only jump to human targets. So when it comes to heavies with machine guns or sledgehammers, dogs with sniper rifles or chain guns, enemy skill proxies like drones or anything that's in the sky or support station, it's not the best at taking them out, like, at all. So you're definitely going to have to still burn those enemies down, like the traditional sense. But when it comes to running heroic, it's going to be extremely easy. You just basically sit back, throw in your hive, switch over to your chem launcher, fire in your chem launcher, it's going to catch on fire, and you're going to burn things down. It's definitely one of those ease of use builds for people who want to have a simple build and feel as though they're doing something in heroic content, because the ability to not only... Ooh, another added thing, your hive causes enemies to flee in fear. So your hive can definitely be used as a zoning tool. You drop your hive in front of you, you fire in your chem launcher, you set them on fire, they run into your hive, the hive causes them to fear and panic again, they run away from your hive, and rinse and repeat, and that ability is just constantly jumping back and forth out there. Now, if you're not technically inclined, or mechanically inclined, we should say, where you don't feel as though you're really that good in terms of gunplay, and it plays a little bit too loose, dangerous, what you could do is you can take off the hive and you can throw on, where the hell are you? Your shield. You can run a Crusader shield. Well, not the Crusader shield. What you would run is the Striker Ballistic shield. It's the shield that you get when you run... I don't even remember what the name of this class is. The one that I'm currently running right now, which is called... It's only the signature weapon up there because I'm stupid. But basically what this allows you to do is you throw out the shield. Of course, I don't have ammo for this. And you can still fire the chem launcher from behind the shield, which is super helpful. It keeps you safe. And the fire is still enough to finish off most red bar enemies. And it's definitely still enough to finish off most purple enemies. That's going to jump. That's probably not going to kill this guy. Maybe? Yep, that's going to jump. How are you still alive? That's going to jump. And you can just happily sit behind your shield the entire time. Rinse and repeat. Constant rotation, setting things on fire. Of course, everything died that time. And I missed that time because, okay. Okay, what's happening here, buddy? Jumps over to that guy dies, jumps back over to these guys die, jump back over to that guy. Just a constant back and forth. But this is definitely the more safer play. If you don't want to put out a lot of damage, you can just basically sit behind your shield, swap to your chem launcher, set things on fire, more or less play extremely safe. If you're still having trouble, I have never honestly tried it with the big boy shield. Oh, Oh, so you can definitely also fire it behind a big boy shield. So if you're definitely not good and you're constantly being clapped, you can fire it from behind the big boy shield. Set it on fire, same effect. The only downside is you're not able to rotate over to your signature weapon because, of course, it's the big boy shield and you're sitting behind it. But yeah, that is the Eclipse Protocol Vial build with Fire and Hive for blood bleeding damage. Like I said, you get the 4-piece, which is the chest piece, the holster, knee pads, and the gloves. Get yourself the Vial Mask. You'll be able to get it from the Season Pass once you hit, I believe, rank level 90. And the Strategic Alignment Backpack. Like I said, it's more or less open to interpretation what you choose to run as your backpack. You do not have to run this. You can absolutely 100% run something else that fits your style. So if you want to run a backpack that gives you extra AR damage, or should I say extra weapon damage, you absolutely can. There are definitely talents and perks that give you that. I just run this one because it's one of the best backpacks that I've so far found, even though I'm not really having luck in terms of finding status effect. The other thing that you definitely want to run is skill haste in regards to your mods. That way both your chem launcher has a lower cooldown, new ammo reloaded every 8 seconds, and your hive will also have a lower cooldown, which is a new hive every... That's kind of skewed because it's in here. It's not actually 0.7 seconds. It's like actually, I believe, 2.1 a reload for your hive. But yeah, that's the build. I'm definitely going to be doing a couple other build videos because I see a lot of people that have questions in regards to doing builds to solo not only the heroic 4 checkpoints, but just basically survivability. And I'll be putting those out in the next couple days. But yeah, that's the video. Peace. Hey, wait a minute. Do I still have my thing? Yeah. Juggling, and we're gone. Later.